Unpacking corporate greed, the dark side of resource acquisition and pharmaceutical profits. Explore how corporate greed drives resource acquisition and impacts pharmaceutical profits, with insight into government conspiracy and untrue allegations. Greedy resource acquisition and corporate greed, what's really going on? Hey, have you ever noticed how some companies just seem to be in an endless race to grab as much as they possibly can? Like, it's never enough for them, no matter how much they already have. That's what I want to talk about today. Greedy resource acquisition and corporate greed. It's a topic that's not just relevant, but gets under your skin once you start paying attention. And honestly, it affects all of us in ways we don't always realize. So here's the thing. Greedy resource acquisition isn't just about a few bad apples. It's often built into the entire system. Corporations gobbling up resources, labor, land, or even entire industries just to maximize profits. This behavior isn't just about survival or staying competitive. For some companies, it seems like an obsession. Imagine the classic image of big corporations snatching up natural resources like minerals, water, or forests at the expense of local communities and the environment. It's maddening because often, those resources belong to us all or are vital for the future. But when companies prioritize profit above all else, the damage to ecosystems and people is real and lasting. Now here's where it gets more tangled. Corporate greed doesn't just lead to ecological harm. It also impacts how companies treat workers and customers. Underpaying employees, slashing benefits, and overworking people are part of this endless hunger for maximizing margins. Meanwhile, customers can end up paying outrageously high prices for essential goods and services. And speaking of essential goods, the pharmaceutical industry is a prime example. Pharmaceutical profits are often criticized for being sky-high, especially when it comes to life-saving medications. The question is, are these costs justified by the research and development involved, or is it yet another scenario of greedy resource acquisition, this time of human desperation for health? At the same time, this whole system sometimes breeds conspiracy theories. You know, the kinds where people talk about government conspiracy or untrue allegations around specific companies or sectors always controlling information or manipulating the market for their own benefit. While it's true that some corporations have managed to bend rules or influence policies heavily, it's important to separate fact from fiction. The truth is often more complex and less sensational than the stories fueled on social media or late-night forums. Honestly, understanding the mechanics of corporate greed helps us recognize why regulations, transparency, and ethical business practices matter so much. Some governments do step in to prevent monopolies or unfair practices, but enforcement isn't always consistent or effective. On a lighter note, if you're into stories that weave complex corporate intrigues and moral battles, you might want to check out The Ultimate Frame by Andrew M. Semple. It's a thrilling novel that tackles some of these very themes, wrapped up in a suspenseful and entertaining narrative that keeps you hooked. Really, it's a good way to see these issues play out in a fictional setting, which sometimes makes the real-world stuff easier to understand and a bit more compelling. Discover this thrilling novel by Andrew M. Semple today. You can find out more and grab your copy at https://bookauthor.com. Trust me, you won't regret it. To wrap this up, corporate greed, especially when it comes to resource acquisition, shapes so much of the world we live in. From how natural resources are used to what we pay for medicines, and even how governments respond to big business. It's a complex web, but it's worth paying attention to so that we can demand better, fairer systems that serve everyone, not just a few at the top.